Airline industry, 2020 was worst year on record. At the depth of the crisis in April 2020, 66% of the world's commercial air transport fleet was grounded as governments closed borders or imposed strict quarantines. 1.8 billion passengers flew in 2020, a decrease of 60.2% compared to the 4.5 billion who flew in 2019. Industry-wide air travel demand, measured in revenue passenger kilometers, or RPKs, dropped by 65.9% year-on-year. The decline in air passengers transported in 2020 was the largest recorded since global RPKs started being tracked around 1950. The International Air Transport Association and IATA released the IATA World Air Transport Statistics (WATS) publication with performance figures for 2020 demonstrating the devastating effects on global air transport during the year of the COVID-19 crisis. Airline industry, 2020 was worst year on record. 1.8 billion passengers flew in 2020, a decrease of 60.2% compared to the 4.5 billion who flew in 2019. Industry-wide air travel demand, measured in revenue passenger kilometers, or RPKs, dropped by 65.9% year-on-year. International passenger demand, RPKs, decreased by 75.6% compared to the year prior. Domestic air passenger demand, RPKs, dropped by 48.8% compared to 2019. Air connectivity declined by more than half in 2020 with the number of routes connecting airports falling dramatically at the outset of the crisis and was down more than 60% year-on-year in April 2020. Total industry passenger revenues fell by 69% to $189 billion in 2020, and net losses were $126.4 billion in total. The decline in air passengers transported in 2020 was the largest recorded since global RPKs started being tracked around 1950. 2020 was a year that we'd all like to forget. But analyzing the performance statistics for the year reveals an amazing story of perseverance. At the depth of the crisis in April 2020, 66% of the world's commercial air transport fleet was grounded as governments closed borders or imposed strict quarantines. 1 million jobs disappeared. And industry losses for the year totaled $126 billion. Many governments recognized aviation's critical contributions and provided financial lifelines and other forms of support. But it was the rapid actions by airlines and the commitment of our people that saw the airline industry through the most difficult year in its history, said Willie Walsh, IATA's Director General. Key 2020 airline performance figures from WATS, passenger. System-wide, airlines carried 1.8 billion passengers on scheduled services, a decrease of 60.2% over 2019 on average. There was a $71.7 loss incurred per passenger in 2020, corresponding to net losses of $126.4 billion in total measured in ASKs, available seat kilometers. Global airline capacity plummeted by 56.7%, with international capacity being hit the hardest with a reduction of 68.3%. System-wide passenger load factor dropped to 65.1% in 2020, compared to 82.5% the year prior. The Middle East region suffered the largest proportion of loss for passenger traffic with a drop of 71.5% in RPKs versus 2019, followed by EUROP, minus 69.7%, and the Africa region, minus 68.5%. China became the largest domestic market in 2020 for the first time on record, as air travel rebounded faster in their domestic market following their efforts to control COVID-19. The regional rankings, based on total passengers carried on scheduled services by airlines registered in that region, are Asia Pacific, 780.7 million passengers, a decrease of 53.4% compared to the region's passengers in 2019. North America, 401.7 million passengers, down 60.8% over 2019. Europe, 389.9 million passengers, down 67.4% over 2019. Latin America, 123.6 million passengers, down 60.6% over 2019. Middle East, 76.8 million passengers, a decrease of 67.6% over 2019. Africa, 34.3 million passengers, down 65.7% over 2019. The top 5 airlines ranked by total scheduled passenger kilometers flown were 1. American AIRLANES, 124 billion, 2. China Southern AIRLANES, 110.7 billion, 3. Delta Air LANES, 106.5 billion, 4. United AIRLANES, 100.2 billion, 5. China Eastern AIRLANES, 88.7 billion. The top 5 route areas by passenger demand (RPKs), with the largest drop being seen in routes within the Far East. 1. Within EUROPE, 290.3 million, down 70.7% from 2019. 2. Europe North AMERICA, 122.9 million, decreased 80.4% from 2019. 3. Within Far EAST, 117.3 million, a decrease of 84.1% from 2019. 4. Europe Far EAST, 115.3 million, a decrease of 79% from 2019. 5. Middle East Far EAST, 104 million, down 73.6% from 2019. The top 5 domestic passenger airport pairs were all in Asia and outperformed top international routes as domestic recovery returned faster, particularly in China. Jeju Seoul GIMPO, 10.2 million, up 35.1% over 2019. 2. Hanoi Ho Chi Minh CITY, 5.9 million, an increase of 54.3% from 2019. 3. Shanghai Hongqiao SHENZHEN, 3.7 million, up 43.4% from 2019. 4. Beijing Capital Shanghai HONGQIAO, 3.6 million, increased by 11.8% from 2019. 5. Guangzhou Shanghai HONGQIAO, 3.5 million, up 41.2% from 2019. The top 5 nationalities traveling by AIR International were 1. United States, 45.7 million, or 9.7% of all passengers. 2. United Kingdom, 40.8 million, or 8.6% of all passengers. 3. GERMANY, 30.8 million, or 6.5% of all passengers. 4. France, 23.3 million, or 4.9% of all passengers. 5. INDIA, 17.4 million, or 3.7% of all passengers. Cargo. Air freight was the bright spot in air transport for 2020 as the market adapted to keep goods moving, including vaccines, personal protective equipment, PPE, and vital medical supplies, despite the massive drop in capacity from the bellies of passenger aircraft. Industry-wide available cargo ton ACTs fell 21.4% year-on-year in 2020. This led to a capacity crunch, with the industry-wide cargo load factor up 7.0 percentage points to 53.8%. This is the highest value in the IATA series started in 1990. At the end of the year, industry-wide cargo ton CTKs had returned close to pre-crisis values. However, the yearly decline in cargo demand CTKs was still the largest since the global financial crisis in 2009, at a sizable 9.7% year-on-year in 2020. The top 5 airlines ranked by scheduled cargo ton CTKs flown were 1. Federally XPRESS, 19.7 billion, 2. United Parcel SERVICE, 14.4 billion, 3. Qatar AIRWAYS, 13.7 billion, 4. EMIRATES, 9.6 billion, 5. Cathay Pacific AIRWAYS, 8.1 billion. Airline alliances. Star Alliance maintained its position as the largest airline alliance in 2020 with 18.7% of total scheduled TRAFFIC in RPKs, followed by SKYTEAM, 16.3%, NONEWORLD, 12.7%,